Oh, have we?
He doesn't know he's got it off.
Hey, was the plan to send you some edited pictures, or are we showing our screens?
Well, you can do either, Ray. But thanks for sending me yours. I downloaded them 10 minutes ago.
Did I?
I downloaded them about 10 minutes ago.
Oh, top man.
So what I'll do is we'll go through. We've got the Tintern ones. We've got what was the other one? Oh, the
Kimmeridge, is it?
Kimmeridge I sent to you and Keith. And then there's one at Winchester that I emailed to everybody.
Tintern, that's all I got.
Where the main task was to basically crop Gary out somehow. But if I bring them up,
eh? I'm hoping to see how it was supposed to have been done.
Well, if I go through them and tell you whose they are, and perhaps the person that took them will just give us a quick rundown of what they've done.
You can remember.
How many have you got then, Peter?
I've got a few. Terry, have you got some on yours?
Okay. Yeah, I'll share them sometime.
Yeah, do yours after we've done the Tintern ones. That'd be nice.
Yeah, I should do.
Be nice to get one picture.
You should do one picture at a time, shouldn't you? I suppose do all the Tinterns.
Yes, that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, I'm going to do the Tintern ones first.
Where is Tintern then?
On the Welsh border, going up from going up from just over the other side of the bridge.
Okay, not down our way.
No, it was
near Chepstow.
When we could travel around more.
Yeah. So that was the original photo that I sent out.
Whose photo was it, Peter?
Well, it was yours, Colin, I think.
Well, it was one of three. It was a HDR thing.
Yes, you took this. Well, I think we did this back in 2016.
Yeah.
I've actually still got those processed ones that I'll show at the end, which I've got the names of the people that did them like 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh God.
Yeah, this first one, right? This Bob, this was yours.
Yeah, if I can remember what I done.
Eh?
Done it in raw. Done a gradient for the sky and reduce the exposure of the sky. Burnt in the gravel path and the green and the grass.
Did you use the original sky that was there then?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Reduce exposure.
People think it looks purple
on that sky.
People think it looks purple.
Yeah, it does.
I'm slightly colourblind. It came out purple for me as well.
I'm colourblind.
My other half said.
I think it looks a bit purple.
My other half, yeah. I think yours is worse than mine, look, to be honest. But
purple rain.
Anyhow.
Yeah. So what did you? So you did a gradient on the sky, Bob?
Yeah.
What did you do with the gravel? Burn that in?
Burnt the gravel in and the grass. Darkened the grass down. Lighten some of the brickwork up. Play around with the shadows, highlights. God, I can't remember what I've done now.
How long that take you?
Not long.
Did you do anything with the sharpness, Bob? Do you do any?
Yeah, I've done some sharpness in raw and in Infinity.
Okay, well, it is a different one. Obviously, been cropped. This was Colin Leach. Do you want to say a few words about that, Colin? What you did?
Yeah, basically made a monochrome and then tried to make a decent composition with the path leading in from the bottom left and that round up to the picture. The main thing, as you can say, same with Bob, I darkened off the bottom left-hand corner. That was way too bright. And the main thing was what I did with the sky. It's the original sky, but when you blow it up that much, it was all noise.
Right.
So I got rid of the noise with one of Malk's old tricks.
Oh, right.
Which I've still got it, and it's really it was for smoothing skin and removing blemishes, but it worked exactly the same. And well, here, if you look at that sky, you can't see any noise. And what you do, you open the image and the control gauges bring down the level and make a selection of the area. Normally it would have said with the skin, but in this case, the sky. And then the quick selection tool, go to refine edge and choose a view such as overlay. Check the smart radius box. And basically you increase the radius just a little bit. Well, 3 from 10, he said, but I didn't need that much.
Yeah.
And then you go to turn on all the select layers and go to filter blur and surface blur and modify it until you get that sort of sky, which I thought worked quite well.
Right.
That's just my opinion. I don't know if you, but there's no noise in the sky now. But before, when I enlarged it that amount, the sky was quite noisy.
Yeah.
And then a little bit of sharpening, of course. And if you look at the top, the apex, you'll see 3 little holes.
Yeah.
I've left the 2 outside ones to show you what it was like before I did the piece on the sky.
Oh, right.
See that? See what I mean?
Yeah. There.
Yeah, that's how the sky was very, very bright. And just by toning it down like that, you got quite a decent fluffy sky.
Yeah.
A bit quiet and man the phone.
Very good. Anybody got any comments on that?
I think it's better for being in black and white and cropped, actually. I think it improves it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It allows you to get rid of the scaffolding and all sorts in one hit, didn't it, as well?
A lot different in it to like the original.
Yeah, really nice.
Yeah, it's very good. Right. Oh, this is Dave Murphy. Did you want to talk through what you did?
Yeah, I was experimenting with high key landscapes. So this was an ideal one to have a bash at. Whether it's successful or not, I'm not so sure. But anyway, I just pardon? Yeah. Can you hear me okay, by the way?
Yeah. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. Maybe I've sorted out my microphone at last.
Yeah, not quite, Dave.
Not quite. I'll change microphones in a minute. I'll put on my posh stuff.
It's much better than it was.
It's much better.
I imported it in with Adobe Camera Raw just to use the exposure to bring out the sky. I wasn't overly concerned about the noise because the scaffolding looks awful anyway. Then as soon as I got the exposure roughly balanced, I opened it in Photoshop Classic. Converted to mono, did a quick select of the sky using quick selection, and then inverted and then reduced the exposure of everything except the sky. So I pulled the exposure right back of the church itself. Then I cropped it to please Colin. Then I deselected the filters, and then I went and used filter Adobe Camera Raw, because a lot of people don't realize you can go into Adobe Camera Raw in Photoshop, even if you've got a JPEG or anything else, by going through filters. And the reason I did that is because I wanted to pull the clarity. This is what they say you should do if you're looking at high key landscapes, is to get rid of all of the sort of high detail. So did that with Adobe Camera Raw. And then I just masked off a vignette for the corners just to pull put a vignette in the corners just to sort of concentrate on the center. Merged all the layers and then expanded the canvas just to put a 2 or 3 mil border around the outside edge.
Yeah. What do we all think? Anybody got any thoughts?
Feel free to say crap because I'm not impressed.
Certainly looks a lot better.
Pardon?
We were being polite.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, I missed it as well.
Said we were being polite.
Why bother, you know? If you look at some high key landscapes, they look really quite striking, and that's what I was sort of going for. But this one, it almost looks like it's snowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, it looks
Yeah,
like an
I
infrared,
can't make up
infrared
my
photo
mind
to
whether
me.
I like it or not, but it's different to anything else so far.
That's for sure.
It looks
Yeah.
infrared, doesn't it?
It does.
That's what I just said. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
The idea is to experiment.
although
Isn't
the stone wouldn't come out in infrared, I don't
No.
suppose. But yeah.
it's like an X-ray of it, isn't it? I think it's really clever.
Yeah.
It's quite ghostly, isn't it?
I have a setup where I've got my laptop, which I'm talking to. But the reason you see me turning to my right periodically is because I've got a run through to my main screen, which is set up for photography. And the picture on my main screen is superb compared with the one on the laptop, because you don't have on my laptop, I tend to have burnout in the middle of the front wall.
Yeah.
There's a bit of burnout. To the right of the main arch, there's a bit of burnout. But when I look at it on my screen, it's quite a nice monochrome picture.
Well, I must admit, it looked a lot better on my very expensive colour matched ISO screen than it does there. But then again, it's being broadcast over the internet, which doesn't help it much.
No. It's nice though. I think it's good. It's nice to see the different interpretations and someone trying something different, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you forgot about the bit of sky in the main arch window in the centre.
There.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, the comment I also made is if I was doing this for a show or internet or anything else, you'd have to do something with that scaffolding.
Yeah.
Bloody
Yeah.
horrible, but, you know, for the purpose of this, I didn't bother.
What would you do, Dave? Clone it out or something like that?
Well, either that or I'd select it all while it was still colour, because it's easier to select in colour than black and white, because for obvious reasons. I just use select by colour to select as much of that, or quick select or something like that, select as much as possible. And then I would tone it right down, because at the moment it's shining beautifully in the sunshine. So I would at the very least, I'd tone that right down so it went into background rather than foreground.
Has Photoshop got a equivalent? You know, Affinity Photo's got the in-painting brush, which is really useful.
Yeah, there's a number of things you could do there.
Yeah.
I tried the in-painting brush, it didn't work. Too
Do you
much.
think? I suppose because it needs to read the background, doesn't it, Bob? And it's quite a tricky background.
Yeah. So I just darkened it down a bit.
Yeah.
And cloning out is quite difficult when I looked at it, because there isn't much that you can clone from.
No.
I think I would have just cropped that side off, Dave. If it just there,
that's why you
crop to the edge of the scaffolding and leave those two windows.
Yeah.
I think that would have made quite a nice crop.
Down there, sort of down there.
Yeah.
That would have put the main centre of the Abbey in on about a third.
Yeah.
Cropping it there.
At the moment, it's slap bang in the middle, isn't it?
Yep. The reason I did that was because I didn't think of cropping it portrait. That's the truth of the matter.
Right.
Yeah,
but the other reason is the only visual vertical, because it was without starting to change the shape of things with perspective crop. The only visual vertical does actually run down the centre of the main part of the church. Everything to the left is leaning to the right, and everything to the right is leaning to the left. So that's the reason I left the crop as it was, but mainly because I didn't think of doing it.
Lovely. Well, thanks for that, Dave.
Yep.
Yeah, nice one, Dave.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
No guesses who's done this one.
Now, I'm not going to tell you who did this. Can anybody guess?
Can't think.
Dennis, are you there?
Yeah, I am. Yeah. Only a few minor changes, really, because I didn't have long. And in my defence, there's more of this original picture left than there is on the Kimmeridge one, as you'll see later.
Yeah.
But I just I opened it in a raw filter, took down the exposure, changed the sky, added some lightning, added some skeletons, darkened down the grass and the pathway, added some shadows, changed it to black and white, and then changed it back from black and white because I needed to do a lot more processing to do it in black and white, which would look better, but it was too dark, and so I left it as it was. So
Very nice.
Really cool.
Good to see
I
something
love you got the
different.
shadows in there as well.
Where do you get the lightning from?
it was a brush. It was a brush I downloaded off the internet in Photoshop.
Thursday night then.
So no, it's just a brush. It was a lightning brush I've got from the internet, not downloaded into Photoshop.
And it even goes through the window. Well done.
It does. Oh yeah. I was quite pleased with that actually.
I was going to say, you know, there's maybe just a little bit too much lightning.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's actually only one brush stroke. I agree with that, Gary. But it's the one that came, and I must admit, I thought, oh, I could do one that's a bit tamer than that, but it meant downloading another one. So.
Oh right. Yeah.
I just, it gave it that bit of atmosphere and sort of Halloweenish, but it needs to be darker. The skeletons need to be darker. But oh well.
Yeah.
It's all time, isn't it, though, Dennis? It's
Well, I have
there's
real
some
problems
similarities in a minute with mine, actually. It was quite funny,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
it is
I have real problems getting to stand up and hold hands. So we're being a bit awkward.
But you could have put some coffins in there.
Yeah, well, there's lots I could have done, but it took me.
They're on a first date, aren't they?
It was a quick one. I spent much more time on the Kimridge one, as you'll see later. So
The skeletons need a halo each.
yeah, possibly.
I really like how the buildings got really dark, and yet you can just see little parts of it. It adds to the.
Yeah.
Really like that.
Can I ask?
Oh yeah, I did that on the curves.
Can I ask a really simple question? Because I don't know. I have done it once, but I can't remember. How do you actually change the sky? Just a simple sky. I mean, that's lovely with that. I love it with the lightning. But
There's actually a button now in Photoshop does it automatically, but I did it by using different layers.
All right.
Have you got Photoshop CC, Miriam?
Yeah.
Well, so they've actually got.
They've got a change sky function automatically.
Yeah. Oh. Let's have a look.
It's under edit,
I didn't
isn't
get
it?
this one.
I don't know whether it'll work on this or not, but now you've got, where is it? It's up here somewhere.
Edit, I think.
Is it edit?
Under edit?
Under edit.
Under edit.
Yeah.
Sky replacement.
Transform, replace sky.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
And it will actually, you basically pull your own sky in from.
There's a selection of them, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a selection of them, but obviously for competitions,
You have to use your own.
you need to use your own.
Yeah.
And you go through and just have a look at that. It's not the
Yeah.
ideal picture to do it on.
Oh, fancy. Yeah, we got
But
that.
yeah, so it's just under edit sky replacement, and it
Yeah.
will replace, if like the picture that of Tintern we used, it would pick that sky up quite easily.
Yeah, I used a layer mask in the end.
Yeah. I'll do it when we finished. I'll do it and
Thanks. Oh.
we'll have a go and see how easy it is. Well, it is easy. I've used it. It's right. Well, that was good, Dennis. Thanks for that. I think that looks quite good.
Cool.
Totally just shows, doesn't it? Interpretation totally different from the one before. Yeah. And the one before that, it just shows you how different people see different things, different ways, and the different things you can do. Now this one's Dennis back. He can't. He's online, but Dennis hasn't got a mic or a camera on his computer. But obviously that's his black and white he's changed it into. So I don't know exactly what he's done, but obviously you can see that it's definitely sharpened up and dodged and burned on the brickwork.
There's an HDR filter on there, I think. There's an HDR filter in Photoshop, and I think he's used that. That's my guess.
And then he's also done it in colour, which is that has got the HDR filter on it.
He's cloned the sky as well, hasn't he?
Yes.
So the sky to the left of the centre column, it was very white, wasn't it? And it's not now.
It's just a different sky, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very noisy one.
Yeah, it is. It's needs toning down a bit, doesn't it? Right, Keith, this is one of yours. Do you want to say a few words?
Yeah, well, I don't know whether I like this one anymore, but yeah. Well, if you go back to the problem of the original picture, it is overexposed, isn't it? People must have found that their clipping indicators were going off like crazy, and the histogram is all bunched up on the right-hand side. And if you look, there are no black pixels, and then there are a tremendous number of white ones. Well, by exposing it by reducing the exposure in RAW by a stop and a half, I could, recover quite a bit of the information. And then I opened up the shadows and took down the highlights and messed around with the black point and brightness, altered the clarity, a little bit of contrast, and developed the picture. I didn't do as well as some people here, so I still had that sky to the left of that center column there. I had it white, and so I thought, oh well, I'm about to swear here. So, something for that game of soldiers. I think I will swap this sky. So I have a sky library, but I don't really have good judgment about which sky goes well with which picture. But anyway, I chose one in the end, and I've done a sky replacement. And then I thought, oh well, it's still a rather kind of monotone image, so I'll turn it into black and white. I do that in Silver FX Pro, the Nick plugin. And it's hard then to describe what you do. There are a number of different presets, and you find the one you like, and then you vary you can vary the contrast, the dynamic brightness. You can put control points in different places that are the equivalent of sort of masking areas. So I mess around with it until I like it. And I thought I liked this. I sent it to Peter, and then I thought, oh no, I really hate it. So then I sent him a colour one that's not much better.
Keith?
Yeah.
Keith, have you tried the toning in, Silver FX Pro? Because if you selenium toned that a bit, I think it would give a sort of nice metallic-y, silvery sort of look to it.
Yeah.
Selenium,
I do use it sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's not a program where I'm very systematic. I sort of go by what I like, and if I didn't actually like what I was producing, so I lost that.
I'm impressed you get anything out of Silver FX Pro.
Oh, it's a good program.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, it's a tremendous program, actually.
I suspect that I'm just too old or too lazy to try to learn about it. I found it hard work, hard going.
Can you use it in Affinity, Keith?
Yes, Affinity. Yeah. So it works as a plugin for Affinity. All the Nick software does. So I do all the basic developing and editing in Affinity, and then take it into the plugin for the black and white conversion.
And you straightened the verticals as well, haven't you?
Yes, I had a go at it. It's not my strongest suit, but I tried to.
Yeah, I've done it as well.
Have you paid for the latest Nick, Keith?
No, I haven't.
No, I've only got the basic one.
So it was yours. I think I've got your colour one next, Keith. There's your colour one.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I like this anymore, but it's not as interesting as Dennis's for sure. No, I don't think I've got anything more to say about it. Really, it's.
That's fine. Right, Ray. Are you there, Ray? Over to you.
I'm here.
I've got. Do you want to do it on yours on your computer? Or do you want me to put them on?
No, that's all right, mate.
You're only going
Leave
to
it
talk
on
through
there.
them, yeah?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. So yes, I developed Affinity Photo. I'll be honest, I really enjoyed doing it. I learned from it. I think it's a really good exercise to do. So that was good fun doing it. So I developed from raw. You know, I tried to sharpen it up. I took the exposure down. Like Keith said, it was massively overexposed, the sky and everything. So I reduced that down. I did a curves adjustment on it. I did a bit of in painting before I actually had it before obviously I've messed about putting the car in and stuff. I had to go at the scaffolding and it didn't do a bad job with the in painting tool. I did remove it quite well. I didn't have very long to do it. So, but in the end I thought, no, just crop it, get it out, because I ended up with almost 2 walls that looked the same. So it was like a copy. And then I wanted to kind of learn about sky replacement a bit more, because I've dabbled it in the past and I was quite pleased. These lightning bolts are very similar to Dennis's. On Affinity, you've got stock photos that you can import into it, which is quite cool. So, you know, normally I use my own stuff, but I didn't have any lightning to hand like that. And you can just drag it, drop it in there for free, which is quite cool. So I used, to do the sky, I selected the foreground, the building and the trees, grass and everything else. And then I refined them and got as much detail as I could. And then really it's a case of slotting in, I know Miriam was asking about this, is slotting in another layer of lightning or sky that you've chosen, and just make sure it's in the right layer stack where you put it. And then I did a few different ways on it. My original one actually wasn't messing about with the old Back to the Future car. I did like a lens distortion, which actually came out quite well. I just abandoned it in the end. But the actual building looked quite good. I straightened out the building, I think, a bit more. I added an unsharp mask to try and get some of the brickwork back more. And of course, then I had a go at compositing. So it was actually inspired by an idea. I've got Canon's Pro Plus magazine this month, and someone had put a DeLorean Back to the Future car going across onto London Bridge, which looked quite cool. And I thought, oh, I'll find that. So yeah, I got the stock image of the car, just got stock images and flames, messed about with them. I did a bit of dodging and burning because the gravel was really bright and the grass at the back. Played about with that. So yeah, just for a bit of fun really. And I love Back to the Future, great film. So I quite like compositing. I noticed that quite a few, when we looked for all the club photos, there was quite a few clubs having a bash at compositing a bit more. But I think the key to it, obviously, it's more special if it's your own photographs, without doubt. But yeah, this is really just for fun and, you know, to learn from it.
Yeah, the thing I know we've mentioned it before, but the one thing, this was all a bit of fun, and it is good fun. But you need to remember when we're doing our PDIs, it's everything you use has got to be your own.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
You're not allowed to download anything from the internet and put it into your pictures.
Yeah, yeah.
So what you got to do, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are the same. Whenever I like, when it's a nice day and there's not really much to do, you go out and just take some photos of the skies, so that you've got some skies to use. You know, just make use of your time.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's really good.
A real DeLorean done up to look like that. I can send you a couple.
What's that, mate?
If you want a few shots of a real DeLorean done to look like the Back to the Future car, I've got a couple.
Oh, yeah, there's a guy. I was at some show once. There is a few going around, isn't there, Dave?
Yeah, quite a few.
You know, and with all the kit on them and
We were going back from a show at Bewley, and I think it's only in the New Forest you could possibly have a DeLorean done up like Back to the Future being stuck behind a pony and trap.
Amazing. And they're really pretty crap car, aren't they, really?
Happy brand new engine in them.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
remember the very first time, donkeys years ago, I went behind the Iron Curtain for work. I can't remember what it was. It was either Slovakia or Slovenia or whatever. But it was literally just after they started to develop the freedom. And you couldn't have made it up. I was actually driving through the town square with historical buildings left, right, and centre. And there was a brand new Jeep Cherokee followed by a horse and cart, where the cart was on an old axle from something like a Ford Anglia or something, with the springs tied on with leather straps. If you saw it in film, you'd say, what a load of crap, but it was absolutely true.
Very good.
There you go. So that was
that one.
That was that one.
Very good.
Oh, that's different.
That's yours with a rainbow, Ray.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, again, it's a stock image rainbow. I just cropped out a little bit of the foreground. I just wanted to home in on the building a bit more. But I quite like that in terms of, it's just a bit brighter, more cheerful. But yeah, it was a quick way, and just try, it's really interesting to see everyone's take on it tonight, and try and use a bit of creativity, get the brain going. But yeah, as you said, I remember when we went out, and you mentioned that, Peter, about I'll just grab a bit of that sky. I might just put it in my stock and use it another time.
Yeah.
I remember that talk that, what was that lady, Peter? I remember once that talk that was it Andrea someone did, and she is obviously an expert in compositing.
Andrea Hargreaves.
Yes, that's it. And I remember thinking, wow, how does she do that? But I remember her saying that she literally goes out, doesn't she? And if she sees she needs a picture of a bird or something, she'll go out with her husband and find it, and then use it another time.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's much else I did with this apart from clarity, vibrance, sky replacement. Yeah, that was the main stuff. I got rid of the scaffolding, just cropped it out.
Cropped it out, yeah.
Just straightening.
Well, here we go.
Yeah,
That's
very different again.
That's very different.
Get rid of the scaffolding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trudy,
I'll do it.
Trudy, this is yours.
That's good.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah. They're quite
Really good.
I haven't looked at them yet. This is the first time I've seen them.
I didn't have a clue what to do, and I didn't like the foreground of it much, so I cropped a lot of tried several crops, and in the end decided to get rid of the foreground because I couldn't, truth of the matter is I couldn't do much with it. But I thought I'd have a go at just using it as an exercise, really, and have a go and see if I could rebuild it. So I had to go at getting rid of the scaffolding and trying to pinch bits from some elsewhere over the picture without making it look identical. I didn't want it to look identical to everything else, so I sort of pinched a bit from here and pinched a bit from there. Darkened down the sky a bit, trying to mess around with the exposure and the whites and blacks a bit to get a more even sort of colouring. Done a bit of sharpening on it. And I'm trying to get a bit of contrast in, but it looks like it could certainly do with a bit more, I think.
It's deceptive because once it's transmitted through the internet, you lose a lot of contrast anyway. So it might have looked great on your screen.
I wouldn't go that far.
Dude, it's really clever how you've managed to sort of bring the whole building, your eyes to go around the front of the building. Did you transform that at all, like somehow?
I used perspective warp to change it slightly.
Very clever.
Tried to get it as best I could.
Yeah, I think that's the best one so far, Trudy.
Yeah, I mean,
oh, thank you.
To go like from that view to that view.
Yeah, it's like an amazing transformation.
Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
A few years ago, we'd have now said to you, didn't Malcolm do a good job there?
That's true, actually, yeah. I must have remembered something he told me.
Yeah.
I can't quite remember what I remember.
You wouldn't have thought that that was the same picture that we started
No.
with. It is the same one, isn't it?
It is,
It
yeah.
kind of isn't.
Well,
Well, it started the
quite a
same,
long
but
time, and I did do several attempts at it,
Yeah,
and then got 3/4 of the way through it and thought, no, I don't like that, and then crashed it and started again.
yeah.
But as you can see, you've now got an extra arch over on the right hand side, apart from where I've rebuilt. No, the little windows. I mean, we actually
Oh,
got
here.
an extra window there, yeah, because I wanted to sort of try to make it, although I didn't want it completely symmetrical, I tried to make it look a little bit more symmetrical
Yes.
rather than look like it was chopped in half, sort of thing.
Yeah, I'm with you.
They say threes is good, don't they?
Yeah, yeah. You got to have an odd number, apparently.
How did you do the bush? Did you clone the bushes, Judy, to fill in the?
Yes, I kind
Yeah.
of took a little bit from here and a little bit from there because I didn't
Yeah.
want it to look like any one bush.
Fiddly job.
Yeah.
I think Colin would have been pleased to have taken that.
Always good to do the impossible.
Yeah.
Well, I thought I thought that's what you do, Colin.
I wish.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, with a bit of thought, Colin could have taken a much better starting picture, couldn't he?
Yeah.
Well, if someone had put in this all 3 photographs.
Well, I didn't want to send one out that was easy, did I?
Certainly wasn't easy.
I recognise
And then I chose to black and white as well to see.
Just convert it to mono, yeah?
Yeah.
Same picture.
Hmm.
I like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've got further colour, I think, of it, but
Yeah, I think I do too.
Yeah.
looks totally different from the start. Very good. Oh, right,
Right.
okay.
Do you want to see mine?
Hey, yeah, yeah, just a sec.
Right.
Oh, one minute, one
No,
minute.
Gary, I did crop it.
Yeah.
Knocked all the foreground out. I thought,
I
Gary,
didn't
please, I've
notice.
lost the foreground.
Right, there you go, Gary. You can
Share.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. I'll just open up Photoshop so that we can get rid of the other stuff.
Yeah, okay.
It's taking its time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Someone's snoring there.
Yeah.
That was mine. So what I did to it, I did OCR, you know, in raw view adjustments.
Yeah.
I opened up in Photoshop. I've got a program called ADP, and inside of ADP there's a mono effects standalone program which I used. And what else did I do?
You cropped it, did you?
Oh, in mono effects, there's a filter called dark and detailed, which is what I use. In there I also adjusted through color luminance. Straighten the end wall weight. And I did crop it.
Scaffolding.
Yeah, did the wall and yeah, adjusted the levels. And the sky is actually the original, just played with.
Right.
So that's fine.
What are all the white flecky bits over it?
White specky bits where?
Is it my screen? It's not my screen. Well, all across the wall in the front.
Yeah.
It's really picked up on, and the windows at the back. On the
Yeah, well, yeah, I think that's just the different tones in the stonework.
It's really come up white, hasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
It also happens if you are a little bit generous with the sharpening too.
Yeah, Well, it hasn't been sharpened actually.
No, well, I understand that, but there's been you've been putting filters on. But if you had a straightforward image and then you sharpened it, it does pick up the flint and turns it white almost immediately. So you've got to really pull that back.
Can you see what I mean by all the white bits?
Yeah. Now you've mentioned it, I can see it.
So that's what you're suggesting then, I suppose, is that that's the sort of natural halo you get around sharpening, but because they're such small features,
just white,
the entire thing white. Yeah, that's a good point.
Harry, can you bring it up full screen, mate? Just to that's better.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, I actually thought that it was better with the cropping the right hand side off and getting the foreground.
Yeah.
Well, you got the main bit here. Can you see my mouse? You got the main bit there on a third, haven't you?
Yeah.
No, we can't see your mouse.
You can't see it. No. I can see it, Terry. That's all that matters.
Well, that's good.
I'm just talking to
rodent
myself.
trouble in the office.
Yeah. Anyway, that's that.
Lovely.
I like it. Nice job, great.
Has anybody else apart from me got that one as well?
I've got it, but what I tried to do, because it was my original one, and I couldn't find the other two exposures, what I did was actually to take that raw, and then I did copies of that raw at -3 stops, -2 stops, -1, and +1, and then I HDR'd it with photomatics with no effects on it, just to give me a complete range of grays or range of brightnesses, and then use that to start to build from.
Oh, right. Have you got it there?
Let me have a look. Better find the glasses first.
Sounds great.
I actually don't really buy that.
Don't buy what?
Buy the idea of developing the raw with different brightness levels or different exposures and then merging them together. If you develop the raw into a 16-bit file that's got the dynamic range anyway, it's just undoing what you did in the first place, kind of. I mean, if you were limited to 8-bit JPEGs to go between your raw development and whatever you merged for HDR, it would buy you something. But if you can go from raw to a 16-bit TIFF, you've got all the range in there. Anyway,
I think you're saying you can't get something for nothing.
Well, you can do.
Yes, you can.
If your HDR processing only uses JPEGs because it can't use anything else, then yes, you can. You get 3 JPEGs which are well spread.
Well,
but the point that was made is if your HDR
if you've got
will take TIFF, well, you don't need to. I think that's right, am I?
Yes, but well, basically, yeah. If your HDR is a bit rubbish, basically.
Yeah. Right. I thought what Colin said was he took one picture and made 3 versions of it.
Yes.
Are they on your screen?
Yeah. Yeah. All 5 are on there.
5 are on there. What I did was I just looked at the histogram and looked at where the point at which I lost complete set of blacks. There were no blacks in there at all, through to a point where I'd overemphasized the sky. So the top right-hand one is where it was darkened down too much. And the one at bottom right, was where we really overexposed it, but brought in a few areas which weren't particularly good. And then I HDR'd the 5 of them together, and then basically threw it away. I don't use any of the special effects that come with photomatics at all. It just gives me a feel for where I can be. So this was a thing called natural, and I started working from there.
Bye, Miriam.
Bye, Miriam.
Yeah, bye, Miriam.
Bye, Miriam.
Bye, Miriam. Take
Bye.
care.
Nice to see you.
That's the comparison between the two. So you start to see now where everything's been brought in. Nothing's been done to it except for merging the exposures from the surplus exposure that's there with raws. So we're able to dig out some of the other stuff. And they're the two side by side. So that's the one on the left that Peter sent out. And that's the one I ended up with as a starting point.
Sort of straightened it up as well, haven't you?
Sorry?
You straightened it up as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to be careful with the straightening up because there's a tendency to try where can you see my cursor?
Yes. Yeah.
Is to use the left hand side, but the building's actually coming out to the left as you come down.
Yeah.
You have to go down this right hand side here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And get it together. So yeah, there was a little bit of that. Let's see if I can find the other one. It's coming. And you probably can't see that.
What, you got the final one up now?
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
you can see that.
it wasn't the final one. It's as far as I was prepared to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, quite.
And what I did was then did a whole series of modifications to it. The final one was to increase the saturation because this is quite a lovely yellow stone and it doesn't come out of that overexposed one very well at all. So I saturated and then I spent some time, I think someone mentioned it, that some areas need brightening up. And the brightness is coming from the left. So this area here should be significantly brighter than this area here. So with dodge and burn, I just accentuated the difference between the side facing walls and those facing the camera to give it a bit more three-dimensional feel to it. And with this blue that came through, and I don't know why it did, but the blue that came through, or the purple, what I did was I just did a loose selection around the colored parts and then desaturated it until it went into a gray. So there's still a blue tinge in the clouds, but there's no definite blue areas of it.
No, that's good. Thanks for that, Colin.
You can have it back now.
Yeah, thank you. Did you want to share yours then, Terry?
Yeah, I feel a bit.
Colin's unshared.
I feel a bit boring because I just kind of processed it, but
No, it's okay.
up the top, Colin, mouse up to the top of the screen, and it'll drop down a little menu. Stop sharing usually.
Right up the top of your screen.
Looks like you're trying, but usually Zoom pop drops down a little menu with stop sharing at the top of the screen in the middle somewhere.
Under view
But
options,
you're obviously not finding it.
Okay, you can see my screen now.
Yep.
Okay, you nicked it.
I
You nicked
nicked
it.
it,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
Don't want the football, do you? Let me.
No.
No, definitely not.
Wolves have beaten Arsenal 2-1.
Yeah. Arsenal finished with a 9 men. That's a shame, isn't it? There you go, Terry. Sheffield United.
That was the original Raw as I kind of got it just processed. Is that up all right?
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. And that was what I did with it, which wasn't anything really special. I used the EXO Photo Lab to process RAWs, which is quite good at doing lens corrections and removing noise, and it also has some perspective corrections built in as an option that I used. So that sky is original. Photolab has a thing called clear view, but it's the equivalent of dehazing. And I used a lot of dehazing on the sky to bring the sky back.
Yeah.
And then I took it into Photoshop, and the only thing really was that I got quite a strong purplish sort of tint in the sky. So I masked the sky off and changed the white balance on that, or changed the color correction on that. And the grass was a bit too vivid, I thought. And so I kind of toned down the vibrance on that. Looking at it, and people, I think I've got a little bit of white speckly stuff on the walls. So
Yep.
I don't know, maybe
Yes,
I
yes,
did the
there is. You
sharpening.
can see it now that Jackie's mentioned it.
Yeah.
Tell you what it
And
is.
what's the thing in camera? Yeah. Go on, Roy.
I reckon that's lichen.
Go on, Roy.
No, it was ball bunny.
I think all that white is lichen.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, right, okay.
I think it's bits of stone. I don't know. I can zoom in a bit on some of it. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's bits. It's just like, I think it's what Colin said. I think
Definitely
it's little bits
white
of flint.
Lichen,
Yeah, bright, aren't they?
Mm.
Yeah. So maybe I slightly overdid the sharpening and what do they call it in Camera Raw? The thing that makes things look contrasty that isn't contrast. Texture or whatever they call it.
Yeah, very good.
But that sky is basically original, and all the detail was there in that. All the sky detail was there. It was just a bit blown out, and so I had a color cast when I brought it back in.
Excellent.
And didn't do anything
Thanks
fancy
for that,
with extra
Terry.
bits.
Anybody got anything?
A bit of perspective correction as well. So.
Yeah.
Any comments? Yeah.
Yeah. Any comments? Anybody? Terry can take it.
I struggled to get the original sky back, so I'm really interested on how the dehaze thing, Jerry. I'm not sure how I would go about that on Affinity Photo. Maybe I need to do some looking up.
You've got that somewhere in. You've got it in Affinity. I'm not sure. They'd probably call it dehaze as well, but it's actually quite a clever algorithm. It sort of looks for fog. It looks at pixels and adjacent pixels, and if it sees an overall sort of white tone to the pixels surrounding it, it says this is haze or fog, and it removes them. It sort of takes the white out, but leaves the colour. It accentuates the difference.
Would it be best to do that at the raw stage, or does it matter really? I guess.
I don't think it does it in the raw stage.
Well, you can't. You can't really do it straight from raw, but yeah.
Yeah. In Affinity, it's called a haze removal tool, and you can't use it at the raw stage, but you can use it after you've developed the raw image.
It's like if you get a misty. I've seen a video once. There was a misty field or something, and it was too misty. That would help remove that as well.
Yeah, and you can actually haze things, turn it the other way, and make things look a bit misty as well. But
Lightroom has got a dehaze slider, so that's working on raw.
Yeah, well, Adobe Camera Raw's got it as well, but basically the output that isn't raw, is it? So, yeah.
Has anybody got any more to share?
No, I'll make a comment on Terry's. It's one of the things that's. Can you put it back up? No, obviously not. The window.
Okay, yeah.
The bottom row windows on the left-hand side. One of the advantages that I got out of the overall HDRing was you can see all the structures inside the hallway there, right the way through to the field beyond, and yours appears to have blocked out.
Yeah, probably that wasn't in the raw file. If you had did you, when you say HDR, was that because you did a bracket on it? Were you actually using the brackets, or you think you?
The one that Peter's sent out, and then I just put 5 different exposures together and HDR'd it, and it gave me quite a good reproduction of what was inside these 2 windows.
Yeah, I probably got too much contrast then to blow that. I mean, it's all toning, isn't it? They call it tone mapping. I mean, basically, if you've got more dynamic range than the fits in an 8-bit JPEG, you have to decide how to fit it in. And you let the blacks drop off the bottom or the whites drop off the top, or you compress it all. But
it's a compliment.
if you actually convert raw into a 16-bit TIFF, then you've basically got the dynamic range in that file. You don't really need to produce separate ones, I don't think. But anyway.
You don't. And then, where are we?
Oh, what's that noise?
Yeah, there's something, bit of feedback from somewhere. When what we did.
Dave, do you mind whacking your on mute just for a sec, mate? What's happening? Hey.
Just to quickly flick through these were when we did it about 5 years ago, 2016. This was some of the ones that were put in that time. This was Barry's. That was Bob did that. So a little bit different to what he did tonight. That was Colin Darkin, cropped in and made into a portrait. And that was another one Colin did. And another one. That was David Smith, I think, did that. And then into mono, and that was Dennis Peters. He put
that's clever.
He put it in some water.
Wow. That's awesome.
Well, the river is just there, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah.
There's a lovely reflection as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was Dennis Peters as well.
So you go back back to that one.
Yeah.
That isn't a reflection. It's a.
No, it's upside
down. it's an echo or something.
Yeah, actually, it is, isn't it?
Failed O-level physics. Yeah.
It's a water. It's a water filter.
Yeah. Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Bit different. That was another one. Ah, we used to have a member that put stuff in a few years back. This one, a Jackie. Do you remember it? She put that one in.
Yeah, she used to be in the club, didn't she?
Yeah, she often put photos in.
Yeah, did she go off to the Far East or something?
No.
Yeah, she forgot how to use Photoshop.
Yeah, she found the gin bottle.
Priorities.
I'll get there, boys. I'll give you a run for your money. Yeah.
Who is that one?
That's Jackie's as well.
That's nice, Jackie. Yeah, very good.
That's when I could really concentrate on things.
That was John.
On the fact that I had Malcolm with me, I expect.
Yeah, possibly. I think that was John White's, this one.
Nice.
And that's another one done as a
The removal filter is a great way to remove haze and fog from your images. Here's how to use it. Now, before we actually apply the filter, we
That's
just
Kevin's. Oh, that was mine.
Going a bit of the sky.
Yeah, it's a bit bright, isn't it?
But you have improved, Peter.
Yeah, well, I'd like to think so. And that was an HDR one I did. And another HDR.
Grass is a bit yellow.
Yeah, a bit bright, isn't it?
Yeah.
I have got dodgy eyes. That's the biggest problem, I think. I normally get Gary to look at them now and he tells me what I've done wrong.
It looks a bit neon, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And that's Trudy's.
Yeah, don't like that much.
So's that one.
I prefer your other one, Trudy.
Yeah. And there you go. That's Trudy's and she's turned it round the other way.
Really?
Oh, so she has, yeah.
It certainly looks like it.
Yeah, there's a chip, the
Flipped it
chimney's
round.
the other end.
And that one's Trudy's.
Clever.
It looks better the other way around, doesn't it? If you're going to crop it and take off the scaffolding end,
Yeah, yeah.
it looks better that way round.
It does.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I
bloody
think you read from left
bloody
to right.
medieval,
don't
bloody medieval architects, no good.
you? No, I think when you look from left to right, you look at the main face there, and then look to the right. So it draws your eyes away from where the scaffolding was anyway.
Mm.
Right. That's that. Oh, 1 minute. Oh, 1 minute. I lost something. Ah, right. Winchester Cathedral. So that was the original. So what's good about that is you can't actually see Gary in that, can you?
Well, I was going to say what you should do is crop it down by the road here and just keep that there.
Yeah. So that's the original. Let's have a look. What we got there? That, Bob, that was yours.
Yep.
So what you done there? You cropped him out, haven't you? You've
Took Gary out.
replaced him.
Took me bloke and the bench down at the bottom out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Signed in the arch out. Lifted the shadows in raw. Just the exposure. Put one of my own skies in.
Yeah.
Waiting, developing to develop. Little tweak with the curves. Sharpened it. Awful trying to get Gary out. Kept making a mess of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can see
Well, you shouldn't be doing that.
I find that difficult.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
took
there
the
wasn't.
bloke with the
There wasn't.
bench out at
I
the
was going
bottom.
to say there wasn't a lot to clone from, was there? But
No. No, I
Use the
think that
in-paint-
was
use the in-paint brush tool. It's quite good, that
use the what one?
in-paint brush, in-painting brush.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't tried that one.
That's an infinity, Trudy.
Oh, right, I see.
Yeah. Yeah, done a bit of dodge and burn with the highlights and the shadows.
Yeah, from that to that.
What I was going to do, take Gary's legs out, replace them with the tripod legs.
Right. Whose do you think this might
Gary in
be?
that one. The one with Gary in, if you look, you can't actually see his head because where he's bent over, it looks like he's headless.
Yeah, the original, yeah. Dennis, you actually sent that was how you did it, wasn't it? Just set, that's how he set
Very
that up.
clever. Very clever.
Yeah. So take the picture down here and then obviously put the picture through the window.
Yeah.
It's
Excellent.
good.
Well,
Very artistic.
Yeah. It's different, isn't it?
Hmm.
It is.
yeah.
I think the trick was getting the Queen to pose.
right, super good.
And that's Dennis back. Brightened it all up. And then I think it's a bit too bright in the middle, but there's Gary in all his glory. And then Dennis also did it in colour. That one's John's. John,
Yes, yeah.
want to say a few words?
Yeah, by all means, yeah. First of all, I should say that I only use Photoshop Elements 18. I haven't got lots of it. That's not an excuse. That's my preference because I like to keep things simple.
Yes.
So anyway, I went into, when I saw the photograph, it's very dark, like everybody saw. So I went into Enhance, Adjust Lighting, and I lightened the shadows and slightly increased the contrast. I then realised it was Gary, and I realised it was a fun photograph and not a major photograph. I recognised Gary, by the way, because of his shirt, because he always wears check shirts of some kind. Anyway, I then cropped the image. I went to image transform, and did free transform and tried to straighten up the building. Of course, in doing that, it left the edges blank, so I cloned them out rather than recropping. I then, what am I up to? Yeah. I then cloned out the bench. I cloned out the birds. I cloned out the flagpole and a bit of the wall on the left-hand side, which I left in when I did the cropping. So, and then I burnt the roof to make it a little bit stronger. I tried it on the walls as well, but it looked a bit unnatural when I did it stronger. I then dodged the downstairs centre of the road there and highlighted it to make it look so your eyes to go on down to the man at the bottom.
Yeah.
I tried then to enhance him a little bit, which is very difficult. But before, and I enhanced Gary's shoulder a little bit. That was about it. And then I printed it to see what it's like, because my printer always prints darker than what the image on the monitor. I wasn't sure how it goes to you, Peter, when you get it. So I brightened the whole image, which I think I've done a bit too much now. And then, of course, resized it and put a border around it. I was going to try and do something clever. In other words, take the photograph from where Gary stood, enlarge it up to that, but I couldn't because the image wasn't sharp enough, unfortunately. But
right, okay.
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah, that would have been good, wouldn't it? Or a bit different.
Yeah, a bit different.
Yeah. Anybody got any comments?
It's a nice silence.
More photographs have been taken of Gary's bum than we've taken of any landscape. It's incredible. He always manages to get into it somewhere or other, doesn't he?
Yeah, I don't know how he does it, but it's a knack.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good photo bomber.
Yeah,
But you're always behind him, Peter.
Yeah, I know.
At least his trousers are pulled up.
Photoshop could do with a Gary removal tool.
Yeah. I think I'm going to write one.
A de-Gary sponge.
Yeah.
And this is Trudy's mono. Trudy?
Yeah. Basically, oh God,
So you got rid of Gary, okay?
Got rid of Gary. Yeah. Got rid of the bench. Cloned those out.
Yeah.
First of all, I adjusted the lighting a bit. Tried to lighten up the shadows a bit, but I didn't want them too light because the back of it's very bright as well. I didn't change the sky, which if I'd been a bit cleverer, I probably would have, because it's really plain. But also, I didn't want it to look too cluttered.
No.
A lot of clouds in. I was afraid it would look too cluttered. I sharpened up the middle of it a bit. What I tried to do was sharpen up the brighter building a bit without sharpening up the two darker buildings too much, because I wanted to make your eye go straight into the middle. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I tried to straighten the building at the back slightly, but I didn't want to straighten it too much because I thought it would pull it out of shape, if you know what I mean.
Yes, yeah.
So what else did I do? I'll change
You
it
cropped a bit off the top.
Sorry?
You cropped a bit off the top.
Yes, I cropped the bit off the top because I felt it looked untidy with just a little bit.
I would agree with you.
Sorry?
I would agree with you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you've got that little bit there, and where it's at an angle slightly, it looked like the whole thing was on the cant more. So I just thought, take it away.
Yeah. Either that, or if you added a bit of sky to the top, it would have been.
I tried that a couple of times, but I couldn't work out how to do it.
Yeah.
Sorry. No. Yeah, and then I cropped it in so that you've got the leading lines coming in from the corners a bit to try to give you that effect of looking straight down to the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that works well.
Yeah.
Very good. And that's just
the
same
colour
picture
version.
in colour.
Yeah. I actually felt that one looked better in black and white, simply because in colour, the white bit of the window and the white bit of the statue, I felt really drew your eye. And I wasn't very keen on that. I thought it just looked too white, and I couldn't actually do anything much about that.
Yeah.
Whereas in black and white, it's not so bad.
That's good. Right, where are we? And then I sent out to Keith and Ray. I just sent. I uploaded a picture from.
Does anybody else have any of the last ones I've got?
Oh no, sorry. Sorry, have you got something?
Before we go to a different one.
Yeah,
Well,
sorry.
Anyone else?
I forgot.
Or not?
A minute. Let me.
Well, there's not exactly a lot to see, but yeah, as well.
Up of the league, those were the days.
Yeah. What's gone wrong with this? Oh, yeah, here we are. Are you able to share?
No, we still see yours.
Right, okay, just a sec.
You haven't
Oh,
stopped.
yeah, I've got it. I've found it.
In your Premier, oh, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, the red of the stop sharing was, I lost it.
Yeah. So that was the original. People saying that.
Yes, yeah, we see that.
And that was the edit, which is perspective correction and got rid of Gary and just generally tweaked it a little bit. I left in the top little bit in the flagpole. I thought it looked all right.
Yeah.
I think, does anybody else actually have the roof straight? Sorry, go ahead.
I'm not sure. I don't think so. That's nice and straight, isn't it?
It did seem to correct okay. I thought,
I want it completely straight because I found it threw everything else out because I'm not very good at it basically. But I'd straightened it. I'd sort of taken it slightly because it was, you can't see my hand. So, yeah, I turned it around slightly and made it straighter, but not straightened it completely because it didn't go with the bottom bit. If that made sense.
Yeah.
And the bench, there's a bench around here. I hadn't even noticed that, to be honest, so I didn't take it out. If that's the bench you were talking about. But... Okay. Any comments? Are we done?
That's the bench I took out, the one at the bottom.
I thought that the light and the colour was quite lovely, so I didn't really want to turn. Well, I don't do black and white anyway much, but I kind of like the light in that and the colour.
I just sent out or Ray and Keith had a Kimmeridge picture that I'd taken that I just wanted. That's the picture adjusted, Keith, isn't it?
No, I don't think so.
No, you didn't do anything to it. That was just the original, wasn't it?
I think that's the original.
Yeah, Ray did some adjustments to it, some processing. Oh, hello.
Oh, quite a bit of adjustment.
Oh,
that's back to the other one.
Oh,
it was labelled Kimmeridge, so I thought they were Kimmeridge.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
right, okay.
I didn't see the beach one, Peter. My
no,
fault.
Okay.
Anyway, which is a cathedral. Well, look, I think it was just a case of we're messing about with the lighting on Affinity Photo. I wanted to see whether I could just be a bit creative. The lights are a street light that I put in there, but maybe I could. Shall I share my screen, Peter? I'll just show you what I've been messing about with, guys. Anyone who's interested in Affinity that might benefit from it. Let me see. Share screen. Affinity Photo. So. So I was just kind of experimenting really, because for my own sort of benefit to try and make the most of it. I didn't actually realise that Gary was hiding there in the shadows, so I found my little lighting, tool here, which is quite cool in Affinity. I guess there's a Photoshop equivalent or better or something, but I quite like But in terms of the picture, all I've got here really is the background. I have got myself a couple of street lights, which I'm sort of in the middle of. So it's not a finished, I've not really finished it, but I thought it might be quite cool to have these located somewhere. I've got to work out how to make them look better and more part of the scene.
Yeah.
I was really interested actually, and I messed about with this. I was interested in, I don't know if other guys have spotted this, there's a really interesting character sat at the end, but of course he's so, I guess it's the resolution, you can only bring it back so far, but he's quite a pixelated little chap. But I did a little just messing about, and I did like a crop on it just to try and make something of that, because I actually quite liked it, just as more of an arty thing. But yeah, the lighting thing, just to show you quick. So you've got this live lighting, which is up in your filters. By the way, thanks guys, I found the haze removal, this little chap here. So that's really cool. Let's put it on the background. So there we go, bit of haze removal action going on. But when you put in a lighting filter, you can choose all sorts of things, like whether you want a spotlight on your scene, and you can choose the angle and all sorts, you know, the width of it and so on. So you can really do some quite cool effects, you know, to bring it back to how you want. And there's a directional one, you know, if you really wanted to sort of go down here and find Gary again. So yeah, quite like that, and I think I might try it in some future, you know, PDIs. There's a lot of other stuff you can do up here, as you can see, you know, diffusing it. Don't know what shininess is. I guess it's just brightness in a way. You can mess about with your directions and things like that. But yeah, it's just more of a bit of an experiment, really. Just thought I'd just share it if it's useful. And then yeah, the haze removal, guys, thanks for that, because I had a little play while we were chatting, and yeah, Affinity does quite a nice job. I couldn't quite yet get back the really nice light blue stuff, but it certainly is able to bring out those cloud colors and, you know, contrast a lot better.
Hey, sorry folks, but I have to leave.
Yeah, okay, still.
I'll see you. See you next week.
Anyway,
Yes, there we are.
Yeah,
See ya.
bye.
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 Okay.
Well, I certainly don't know of anything like that in Photoshop, Ray.
No, I don't think I do.
Ah, well, I do a bit more messing about with it, and
Well, it's quite a good tool, actually.
Yeah.
Ray has shown you it in a special effects way, but you can also use it in more subtle ways to alter the lighting. It's sort of an alternative to dodge and burn, and it's interesting because it's directional.
Yes.
And you have quite a lot of control. You can also alter the color of the light and so on, so you can get shafts of sunlight and things.
Yeah, I was just going to ask that, whether you
That
could
would be handy.
beams.
Yeah, we'll have to have a look
yes,
at
you
that
could
and
use it
see.
for that.
'Cause I've got Affinity. I'll have a look and see. Not seen that before.
Got any more,
Right.
Peter?
For that, I think that was a good exercise. Actually, I think, did we all learn something and enjoy that?
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, yeah.
Right.
Enjoyed playing around and seeing what I could do, even though some of the things I wanted to do I couldn't do, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a follow up to that is if there's anything anybody's not clear of how it's done, drop me a line and we could put a presentation together to go through a few things.
I'd like to
have a
know
couple
more,
more
definitely,
edits
when
if
Trudy
anybody's
managed to straighten
interested,
out the
but-
building. I thought that was really cool. I'd like to sort of, I know Keith's going to help me with that a little bit. Maybe we'll chat tomorrow, but
Yeah.
that was, you know, how to get a perspective tool working and things like that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's it for the evening.
You meet
Yeah,
you
thank
doing
you very
Zoom
much,
Friday?
Very good, Peter. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Yes, we can do a meeting Friday afternoon. I don't think I'm going anywhere. I'll send a link out for 2 o'clock. Yeah.
I don't know if
Yeah.
we've all got a glass. I've drunk mine, but I was going to say raise a glass to Captain Tom, eh?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
all in
Yeah.
our thoughts, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I'll do it when I go downstairs because my cup is empty, but I'll raise a glass with something a bit stronger, I think.
Yeah.
Did he die?
I'm gonna have a nice ice cold beer.
yeah, he did, Terry.
This afternoon.
Right.
Did okay. I don't know. I don't watch
for everybody.
television, so
Thanks for everybody taking
when all
part in
this
that.
COVID's all over, so that we can get together and have a few computer days again.
Yeah.
What's next week, Peter?
Next week is Ray's going to do his presentation on photo peels.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Okay
Cool.
then. All right,
Thank you
everybody.
very much, everyone.
See you then. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, good
Bye.
night.
Bye.
Take
Bye.
care.
Gary,
everyone.
I'm gonna hold on just
Bye,
a,
Al.
Gary, you hold on just a minute.
Yeah.
I'll just want to have a quick word with you. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Have a good
Bye.
week,
Bye.
everyone.
We got a new midfield player playing. Alexander, he came up, the one that came on Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
Alexandre Jankovic.
Yep.
Sent off after 1 minute 20 seconds.
What?
Yeah. And guess who's the referee?
Mike Dean.
Oh, he is. The only thing is, they've said here on BBC, definite red card.
It was definite.
Yeah, they said he was all pumped up and he's just flown into the first tackle and you can see the stud marks on McTominay's thigh.
Oh, bloody hell.
Yeah, so they're just right. People have been writing in saying when not one single player complains about the red card, you know it was deserved.
Yeah.
But it would be him, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, well.
I'm going to go and watch it.
Yeah, it's on BT, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Newcastle are 1-0 up against Palace. They scored after a minute.
Well,
And Arsenal ended up with 9 men.
did they?
Yeah.
Well, we might, yeah.
Well, yeah. I'll tell you what, that's probably the last thing we wanted.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. Oh, well. Okay. I'll see you Friday afternoon, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. And I've had my jab now, which is...
That's a start. They're meant to be sending out a... they're meant to be